Welcome to Moms of the Lou podcast, hosted by and recorded for St. Louis moms. Grab your laundry basket, kick your feet up for nap time, or head out the door for pickup and spend a little time catching up with your favorite St. Louis moms. Hosted by a fellow St. Louis mom, Rebecca Coast, let's dive into our discussion today. All right, St. Louis moms, we are back for another episode of Moms of Lou. So excited today and a little starstruck to be chatting with our guest, Merrick White of Merrick's Art. Merrick is a somewhat new to St. Louis mom, so excited to chat with you about that transition and hear about your business as well. So welcome, Merrick. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I want to talk first about your move to St. Louis. So when did you move to St. Louis? Because I believe you were in Dallas previously.
Yeah, so we've been here for 2 years. Actually, just hit 2 years in June.
Wow.
Beginning of June.
Wow. Does that feel like it went fast for you or not?
So fast. It went so fast, but it's been a good fast 2 years.
That's awesome. So what brought you to St. Louis from Dallas?
My husband's job brought us here. So we were in Dallas before for 4 years. Loved it. We were in Orange County before that for 6 years. Loved that. We were in Utah for 8 years before that. So we've been around for his job.
Been around. Wow. So how has the transition been to St. Louis? What are some of the differences? What are you liking? What's irritating you?
Well, coming from Dallas, the interesting thing was, so my husband, his company that he works for is headquartered here. And so he's been traveling to St. Louis for his entire career, which is almost 20 years at this point.
Wow.
And so he knew St. Louis very well. And I knew nothing. I had been through St. Louis as a teenager. We went up the arch. I recall that.
Yes.
I remember being in that little tiny pod.
Yes.
That's kind of all that I remember. And I remember that it was really hot. We did go to the zoo and it was scorching hot and humid.
Yes.
And I grew up in Las Vegas, so that's hot, but it's dry heat, so it's completely different. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't really know much about St. Louis. And so we did kind of a little scouting trip when we found out that he would possibly be transferring here for his job. And we came in January and we flew in and I remember looking out the plane window and there's just like so many trees and I could see the brick houses.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? It looks enough like Dallas to me that I'm okay. Like if we have to move here, I'll be okay. Like it feels like it wasn't such a huge transition. I kept thinking like if we were moving from like Vermont to like Las Vegas, just like the huge difference in climate and just, the landscape and everything, I feel like it would be so jarring. And because it was similar enough, I was like, okay, whatever comes, I can handle it. I don't know. It was just like this little moment for me that I'm like, I'm okay. And I actually love living somewhere that has all 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And like in Dallas, we had a little tiny spring and a little tiny fall and long summers and then cold winters. And so I like having a balance. I can actually wear the coats that are in my closet.
Yes.
They're getting such good news.
That's amazing. What about making friends? Did you have any contacts here before, or did you find yourself having to kind of start over with making mom friends?
So actually, we had friends in California that ended up moving out here for his job.
Okay.
And so we'd known them pretty well there. And we both they had one little tiny kid, and we had 2 little tiny kids and, sort of similar in age. And so I knew that they lived in St. Louis. I didn't really know what part. We'd sent Christmas cards over the years, but that was kind of it. And so I reached out to her when we found out that we were possibly moving here. And I said, tell me about the areas, the schools, the people, the churches, all this stuff. And she gave me the whole rundown on the area that they lived in. And she said, you absolutely have to check out this area. And it was quite a bit farther away from my husband's office than he wanted to be.
Okay.
And so anyway, we ended up being here. He does commute a little bit longer than he planned on. We looked in several areas, but we ended up actually fairly close to them. And that ended up being so great because she had this big group of mom friends, and they were just like, a friend of hers is a friend of ours.
Oh,
And
that's
they
great.
just pulled me right in. And so I immediately had really good friends. And, you know, sometimes you get kind of pulled into groups from one person and you don't necessarily connect with all of them.
Yep.
And I've certainly had that. But this one, I clicked with everybody, and it was just the biggest blessing for me to feel immediately settled and happy and feel like I had connections. And it was within like maybe 6 weeks or something, I got a group text, and it was like, I'm running to Costco. Does anybody need anything? And Costco's, you know, not like super close. It's a little bit of a trek to get out there. And I told my husband, I'm like, I'm on the Costco text group.
You made it.
I made it. I'm in the group. So, you know, it was just like those little moments for me that I'm like, okay, we're going to be fine. And they all had kids that were my kids' ages. And so they made friends quickly. We moved right at the beginning of the summer, which I was worried about in some ways, like, are we going to have, you know, when you move in the middle of the school year or right at the beginning of the school year, they're forced to make friends, right? It's forced proximity with all the kids in their class. So they immediately meet people. And I thought in the summer when people are traveling and doing whatever, like, are we going to be able to make those connections, make those friends? And this group goes to Six Flags every week, goes to the water park, goes to, you know, does all these things, and immediately invited us to these things. And so my kids made friends so fast. It was so easy. I feel badly almost, because people reach out to me all the time, like, how did you find friends so fast? And how did you do this? And, you know, it just was like good luck and good contacts that just all fell into place. And it certainly has not been that way with every move that we've made. But this one, we feel so blessed, so lucky.
That's awesome.
So we're really happy.
That's so great. So where is one spot that you just love to go with your kids right now in St. Louis?
Oh, that's a good question. Right now, our favorite place to go is the Six Flags water park. Not that it's my favorite place, but just because it's cool and that's where all the friends are going.
Yes.
But my oldest actually just broke his arm last weekend.
Oh, no.
He's going to have to figure out, like, do you wear the cast cover or is he just going to stay home or whatever? That was like not ideal, but
totally.
But also we have a pool in our backyard. We put that in last summer. So we're spending a lot of time in the pool because it is suddenly very hot.
Yes. What about a date night spot? If you guys sneak away have you found a spot you like?
We really love Katie's.
Yes.
Pizza and pasta.
Yes.
That was one that my husband had been to multiple times on the trips that he'd made here for work. And so as soon as I think it was actually when we came to scout out some areas before we knew we were moving, he's like, we got to go to Katie's. So that's one of our go-tos, but also it's a little bit more of a trek, but we love going to the hill, all the good food on the hill. So we've tried out a couple of places there.
Classic Italian. Love it.
Yes.
So, okay, just quick, let's talk about your business a little bit. I mean, you've got an apparel line that you've designed. You are a seamstress. You do all the things. So, such an active presence on social media. Where are you spending the most amount of your time right now on your business, would you say?
For sure, Instagram.
Okay.
That's where my followers are the most engaged and active. Certainly we still have a lot of traffic to the blog. I've spent years writing articles on the blog, thousands and thousands of posts. So that's certainly not going anywhere. But Instagram is my go-to place.
Is your go-to. Well, and you cannot see right now, but I have the front tuck going on right now.
You saw my post.
I have found a kindred spirit in you because I will live and die for the front tuck. Let me tell you.
You know, it's just, I feel like it is a security blanket at this point. You put on the outfit and you're just like, I got to do it. I just got to do the front tuck.
It is.
I can't help it.
So how have you seen the landscape of Instagram in particular change since you started your account? How long has your account been in place?
So I started my account as soon as I got Instagram, which was as soon as I got an iPhone, which I think was like 2011.
Okay.
I got it for Christmas. So it was either 2011, 2012. I think I must have been 2011 because I think I only had my first son. And it is completely different. I think about how back then it was like, you just post one picture and it was all about the aesthetic, well, even back then it was like the weird filters and stuff, everybody's posting just like random stuff. You throw a filter on it. You're like, it looks great. Right. And you look back, like it didn't look great, but we didn't know. And, then way later, it was when Instagram stories was introduced, trying to compete with Snapchat because everybody was doing story content on Snapchat. And then you're, dealing with two different apps. I remember like posting things on Snapchat and saying, go check out my reel or my post that I just did on Instagram. And, then you're saying on Instagram, go check out my Snapchat to see more of my day-to-day or behind the scenes or whatever. And then Instagram integrated stories and then they integrated reels, and there's just like, there's been so many transitions over the years. Like if we went back to what Instagram looked like back at the beginning, we would not even recognize it. Right?
Yeah, I know. You're right.
So different.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Have you felt pressure to keep up with like the hustle of this ever-changing platform? I mean, it feels like that in and of itself is just a full-time job.
Honestly, it is. And you know what? It's interesting because I have never, I've felt the pressure to, keep up with trying new things. And I love pivoting my business and changing and adjusting and seeing what works, seeing what feels natural to me, see what I like. I'm totally good with adapting and pivoting, but it is interesting as it is changing so rapidly right now that I feel like I'm struggling to keep up with these changes all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like the things that I was doing before are not necessarily working anymore. And, it's interesting with like your reach, I've grown this big audience on Instagram and then Instagram is prioritizing whatever they're prioritizing, different things, the things on my feed are not people that I'm following. So these people that I've worked to gain as followers and gain their trust and all that, they're not seeing my stuff, they're seeing all the random stuff that Instagram is pushing, very similar to TikTok. And so it's just kind of like trying to figure out how to adapt and still be engaging and engage the people that are still seeing it and figuring out how to get those people that aren't seeing it to come back and see it, and it's just this battle all the time. But, I'm up for a challenge. So we're trying different things all the time and just some things hit and some things don't, and that's okay. In the grand scheme of things, an Instagram post that doesn't do well or that does do well, its lifetime is just like a couple of days and then it's buried in the abyss, right?
Absolutely.
So if something doesn't do well or not, like, it doesn't really matter. You just continue to crank out content, and that's what I love to do. And so that's what I'm doing.
And you're very good at it. Every post is helpful and save-worthy, and loved the boot series and the jeans and all of it. So, okay, well, we are so appreciative of your time today. Busy summer schedules await. So we'll be sure to link to your blog and obviously to your Instagram page. Anything else any other ways moms can connect with you here in St. Louis before we sign off?
You can find me everywhere at Merrick's Art. I'm very active on Pinterest. Pinterest is one of those like old first social medias that, everybody used before TikTok and Instagram and all the things were big. And I still love Pinterest. I'm on there every day pinning things. So come over and find me there. But I'm Merrick's Art on everything.
Awesome. Thank you, Merrick, for your time. We appreciate it. Have a great...
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right, St. Louis moms, that'll do it for this episode of Moms of the Lou. See you next time. Thanks for listening to Moms of the Lou. We hope it encouraged you and put a pep in your step and helped you get to know our community a little bit better. Be sure to find us on Instagram, st.louis_mom. You can find us on Facebook, St. Louis Mom. You can find us on our website, www.stlouismom.com. In case nobody else tells you today, you're a great mom and you're doing a great job. Chat with you next time.